I wasn't at 20 minutes, but the battery died, which was great timing because I needed to go to the restroom. So continuing on, this is going to be a part 2 to the chapter, The Use of the Will, in Wallace D. Wattles' book, The Science of Being Well. This is actually the trilogy. Again, in the state of things right now with the coronavirus, but as with any disease, this is a great book to read, and I would recommend that you share this. The chapter that I read previously, the chapter on faith, and this chapter, chapter 6, chapters 5 and 6 of this book, of course the whole thing is beneficial, but if you read these 2 chapters morning and night, or at least once a day for the next 30 days during the midst of this situation that we're going through, you're going to do great. You're going to do great things for the collective. All right. So, continuing on, where I left off. I should have checked to see where I left off actually before, but I didn't. Let's just play with it. I'll pick a place. Alright, so we're talking about acting as if you have to take these actions, you have to take this thought process. So by reading this book, these chapters every day, that's going to be the first step where you're getting your mind trained in this belief system. You have to put the belief behind it. You have to put the power and the energy behind those thoughts too. So energize it. You have to actually believe it. Don't just go through the motions, and then you have to also act as if. So this is talking about how to act as if. So you're not going to do this, read this, and waste your time, and then go to the store and then hoard things, and then spread fear articles and all that stuff. We're going to create a different reality by training our brains and then acting as if. So form your conception of perfect health and get into the way of thinking about perfect health until it begins to have a definite meaning to you. Picture yourself as doing the things a strong and healthy person would do, and have faith that you can and will do those things in that way. Continue this until you have a vivid conception of health and what it means to you. When I speak in this book of a conception of health, I mean a conception that carries with it the idea of the way a healthy person looks and does things. Think of yourself in connection with health until you form a conception of how you would live, appear, act, and do things as a perfectly healthy person. Think about yourself in connection with health until you conceive of yourself in imagination as always doing everything in the manner of a well person. Until the thought of health conveys the idea of what health means to you. It's getting that point. I'm getting tongue-tied. I'm so sorry. I'm going to read that sentence one more time, and then hopefully I can rock through the rest of this pretty quickly and smoothly. Think about yourself in connection with health until you conceive of yourself in imagination as always doing everything in the manner of a well person. Until the thought of health conveys the idea of what health means to you. As I have said in a former chapter, you may not be able to form a clear mental image of yourself in perfect health, but you can form a conception of yourself as acting like a healthy person. Form this conception and then think only thoughts of perfect health in relation to yourself, and so far as may be possible in relation to others. When a thought of sickness or disease is presented to you, reject it. Do not let it get into your mind. Do not entertain or consider it at all. This is critical right now, critical. Meet it by thinking health, by thinking that you are well, and by being sincerely grateful for the health you are receiving. Whenever suggestions of disease are coming thick and fast upon you, and you are in a tight place, fall back upon the exercise of gratitude. Connect yourself with the Supreme. Give thanks to God for the perfect health He gives you, and you will soon find yourself able to control your thoughts and to think what you want to think. In times of doubt, trial, and temptation, the exercise of gratitude is always a sheet anchor which will prevent you from being swept away. That's critical right now. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Remember that the great essential thing is to sever all mental relations with disease and to enter into full mental relationship with health. That sentence is capitalized for importance, so I'll read it again. Remember that the great essential thing is to sever all mental relations with disease and to enter into full mental relationship with health. This is the key to all mental healing. It is the whole thing. Here we see the secret of the great success of Christian Science. More than any other formulated system of practice, it insists that its converts shall sever relations with disease and relate themselves fully with health. The healing power of Christian Science is not in its theological formula, nor in its denial of matter, but in the fact that it induces the sick to ignore disease as an unreal thing and accept health by faith as a reality. We're not teaching doctrine here, but we are showing that, it's in the Bible. Jesus the Messiah was a healer. How do you think he was able to heal? This is saying, by mastering this control of the mind and the acting as if. Have faith, then act upon that faith, and you may heal. Its failures are not made, I think I jumped ahead. The healing, blah, 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 blah. Science is not in its theological formula, nor in its denial of matter, but in the fact that it induces the sick to ignore disease as an unreal thing and accept health by faith as a reality. I'm smiling because I know I just read that, but it's Christian Science that it's talking about. Its failures are made because its practitioners, while thinking in a certain way, do not eat, drink, breathe, and sleep in the same way. While there is no healing power in the repetition of strings of words, yet it is a very convenient thing to have the central thoughts so formulated that you can repeat them readily, so that you can use them as affirmations whenever you are surrounded by an environment which gives you adverse suggestions. When those around you begin to talk of sickness and death, close your ears and mentally assert something like the following. There is one substance, and I am that substance. That substance is eternal, and it is life. I am that substance, and I am eternal life. That substance knows no disease. I am that substance, and I am health. Exercise your willpower in choosing only those thoughts which are thoughts of health, and arrange your environment so that it shall suggest thoughts of health. Do not have about you books, pictures, or other things which suggest death, disease, deformity, weakness, or age. Have only those which convey the ideas of health, power, joy, vitality, and youth. When you are confronted with a book or anything else which suggests disease, do not give it your attention. Think of your conception of health and your gratitude, and affirm as above. Use your willpower to fix your attention upon the thoughts of health. In a future chapter, I shall touch upon this point again. What I wish to make plain here is that you must think only health, recognize only health, and give your attention only to health, and that you must control thought, recognition, and attention by the use of your will. Do not try to use your will to compel the healthy performance of function within you. The principle of health will attend to that if you give your attention only to thoughts of health. Don't try to force yourself to heal your body. You're not going to look at a cut and say, heal, heal, heal. You're going to look at the cut and you say, I am healed, because the principle within me knows how to heal itself. And you'll trust that that cut will heal, and it will. Again, this is not to patronize people who are experiencing extreme illnesses right now. We recognize that you're in that state, but we can work to shift and transmute the energy towards a different outcome, and advance or speed up the healing process. That's the goal here for those that are actually already experiencing ailments. Do not try to exert your will upon the formless to compel it to give you more vitality or power. It is already placing all the power there is at your service. You do not have to use your will to conquer adverse conditions or to subdue unfriendly forces. There are no unfriendly forces. There is only one force, and that force is friendly to you. It is a force which makes for health. Everything in the universe wants you to be well. You have absolutely nothing to overcome but your own habit of thinking in a certain way about disease. And you can do this only by forming a habit of thinking in another certain way about health. Man can cause all the internal functions of his body to be performed in a perfectly healthy manner by continuously thinking in a certain way, and by performing the external functions in a certain way. He can think in this certain way by controlling his attention, and he can control his attention by the use of his will. He can decide what things he will think about. And that's that. I hope that in that last sentence, we recognize that we can decide what things we will think about. We can decide how we respond to whatever's surrounding our environment. We can decide what we think about. Please share this message, The Science of Being Well by Wallace D. Wattles, with your friends and families in light of coronavirus. And again, this applies to all disease. But let's start by really surprising those who might expect us to continue to react rather than respond. And we can kind of see what we can do. All right, thank you for watching. Take care.